Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Thursday night stream. Trying to adjust those audio levels. There we go. Okay. Hope everybody's having a nice Thursday. Kind of feels like Friday, but not really Friday. Got one more day to go before the weekend. So, how's everybody doing? Gonna be painting on our modern day Trollslayer again, doing some more work on him. Got him right here. So here he is. Got a wash on the jeans and on the boots, and I was going in trying to do a little bit of cleanup on the flesh tones and get rid of some of that stuff, and I ended up having to redo some airbrushing and redo a wash. So once this is fully dry, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a matte coat and then do a little bit of more airbrushing on the flesh tones before we move on to our next steps, just because I want those to look clean again. And then we're gonna focus on the beard and the hair and our metallics today. That's gonna be our number one focus for today. But first things first, we got to get these flesh tones looking good again. You can see there's a little bit of staining here and there. Just happens. Sometimes it happens. You just gotta learn how to correct it. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna work on those flesh tones a little bit and get those back to where we need them to be before we move on. It's 1850 tournament practice game. That's cool. I saw a thing earlier today. Apparently, the Games Workshop is bringing back the Warhammer GT, like the official Games Workshop GT at Warhammer World, and they're going to be playing at 1750, which I honestly think is a good idea. I mean, they're using like Eternal War, like basic bitch stuff out of the rulebook, so that part of it is super boring. And how like their scoring stuff is like really lame. But I've been thinking for a while that what we need to do in 8th edition is go down a little bit, 1750, maybe 1850, something in there, just so that the games are snappier, like they're quicker and they're faster. I don't think at like actual like ITC majors that game length is that much of an option. Sometimes it can be, depending on the size of the armies. Like if you have two players and both of their armies have just like a ridiculous amount of models, which means super long shooting phases and super long assault phases, can really bog down playtime, just because like physically doing all of that takes time. Rolling those dice, figuring out how all that goes down, sometimes it can just take time. And I guess it just all depends. Like I play a really assault heavy army, so I'm rolling like pretty long assault phases, but I roll my dice super fast. Like I have stuff to help me do that. Like I have a cup that I can just put dice in and throw them on the table. Little things to help out. When I was at Broadside Bash, there was like one game that I played where we were like 5 minutes away from dice downtime, and all the other games we had time to kill before time ran out. So like I know it's saying that games should be faster isn't necessarily true in all aspects, but I think going down to 1750 or 1850 might help that out a little bit. Might keep the size of the games down a little bit, but that's just me. Yeah, that's also a good point, in Smither. If that becomes a thing, if chess clocks become a thing, that might be an option. Now there is a lot of talk about chess clocks working their way into tournament play a little while back, and how some majors were gonna have chess clocks at like top tables purely to make sure there was no like slow playing or anything like that going on. But I think the reaction to that has been a lot better than we initially thought it would be, and you know, I don't see a problem with it. The difference between like if you go to like a game store and you play a casual game with people and you like time it, people are usually like scrambling to do stuff because they're not used to playing on a game clock. Like they're not used to being like, oh shit, we have 2 hours and this game is done. Like no matter what, no matter whose turn it is or whatever, at 2 hours, dice down, done. And the end result is the end result. There's no haggle phase, none of that shit. Like they're not used to that. Whereas you go to a tournament with a bunch of people who are used to playing in tournaments, who are good at playing in tournaments, like time issues really aren't much of a thing unless you run into that instance where like one person just has like a massive amount of models, or you both have a massive amount of models, and just doing all that stuff just eats up time. But yeah, I've been saying for a while that like 1750 or 1850 might be the way to go, just because like they streamlined 8th edition, they streamlined 40k, and it was like great. And then they were like, oh, well, they streamlined the game, but they also reduced the point costs on all of these things, so I can just cram like tons and tons of shit into a 2,000 point list, and then that breaks the streamlining because then you're just right back to playing like 4 or 5 hour games because of the amount of models. But that's usually only the case in like non-tournament settings. Most people that have been to a tournament or two and like know what they're doing, you don't take that much time. It's just something people like they need to be conscious about, because like I was doing some playtesting for Adepticon, and I would tell people, I was like, hey, so here's the mission packet, like look at it, figure out what you want to bring, because I want you to test me, I want you to challenge me, I want to see if there's anything I can change about this list. And also we're playing 2-hour games. Like you like go into it knowing that we have 2 hours to play this game no matter what. And people that I had played with before that normally were very leisurely players, like when they had time to prepare and went into a game knowing how much time they had, like it really wasn't that much of an issue. Like people like really like they figured it out. Sapper Steve, yeah, we hit 15 hundo. We got a pretty big follow bump from that huge raid from Relic the Clown the other day, and then yesterday we had a good grip of people follow the channel and kick us over 1,500. I think there was like 10 or so people that followed last night, which was pretty awesome. Not only do I love seeing the new faces, I really appreciate the channel hitting a new milestone. So I need to update it. I'm not going to do it right now because it's literally 1503, and I'm not going to change it to 1600 when it's 1503 because it'll just be an empty bar. But when we come back on Saturday, I'll have updated all that stuff. Yeah, I was watching his stream the other day too. Like initially, I didn't really know what to think about it, and then I kind of figured out what it was about, like what he was doing, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. Let's see. So, little bit of left time. I kind of wanted this to dry a little bit faster before the stream started, but it's almost there. We're about to get started. But the other thing I was working on today is, as you know, we have a Blood Bowl League that's starting at the shop on Saturday. So it's our kickoff for the league on Saturday, and I said, you know, we need a trophy. We need a first place trophy. I'm going to eventually make a last place trophy too, just because like I find events and tournaments and stuff where there's like kind of a trophy for last place to be fun. And I really like this show, The League. If you've ever watched The League, it's a comedy about a bunch of middle-aged dudes who are super obsessed with fantasy football. Sapper Steve with a sub. Thanks for that sub, homie. And their last place trophy in their league is called the Sacco. But so like if I ever have like a last place prize in an event, like a tournament that I run, or like an event like this, I always call it the Sacco, but it's not like the actual Sacco trophy. So we'll find something. I'm thinking of calling it like the Skitterer or something, and have like a really wimpy Skaven model on top of the trophy or something for last place. But so I was working on this. So this is like a little plastic cap for a package or something. I don't know what it's from. It was just laying on my desk. And I sealed it up with an old base. And then we've got some other bases stacked on top of each other to create kind of a little trophy look. You know, simple, clean, classy looking trophy look. And then this plastic OG Blood Bowl player on top. And so what I've done is just, just sprayed it gold and put a wash on there to get that kind of that detail to pop out. And then I'm just going to dry brush the fuck out of it a couple of times to get it to look like a gold trophy. And I'll be doing some freehand down here with like the name of the trophy and stuff like that. Get that ready for Saturday. So that'll be fun. It'll sit in the case and people will be like, oh man, I want to win. I want the trophy. Which leads into the next thing of show and tell. I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but I found an awesome deal on eBay the other day. I was looking around for some other Blood Bowl teams, and I found a 3rd edition human Blood Bowl team, like new on sprue. And what they did for some of those box sets back in the day is they had like the plastic teams that came in the box, and they had like metal teams you could buy separately. So the 3rd edition box set came with a human team. Got them right here. And the plastics actually hold up pretty well. Like they're a little cartoony, which is kind of what is, Games Workshop style from those years. But you can see here, like the detail is not bad. Like not bad at all. Like it's definitely not the plastic detail that we have now, not by any means. But if you're talking like old models, especially old like injection mold plastic models, like these guys hold up remarkably well. So I'm actually really excited to have gotten my hands on these, because these are really hard to find. Like you can find a lot of the old metal teams, but finding this this plastic team is really hard to do, and if you do, it's very expensive. So that led me to believe that whoever was selling this didn't really know what they were selling, because they sold this whole team new on sprue for $20, which I'm pretty sure is like cheaper than you could buy at retail when it came out. Because like I'm talking, the only other set that I saw that was like new unpainted was like $90. So when I found this, I was really excited to be able to get this this team. So I'll end up painting up these guys as one of my other teams for future Blood Bowl games. Really excited about that. So I got them all ready for paint. Oh, I guess maybe I did talk about it earlier. But yeah, these are the guys. So we got like the these are our blitzers, and then we've got the catchers with their big old strong hand mitts, the thrower with the throwing the ball, and these guys are our linemen, very heroic, strong looking linemen. So yeah, it'll be fun. Like they're definitely behind the scale creep, so. They're going to be a little bit smaller, but that's fine. They're an OG team. I'm going to have a lot of fun painting them. The team name is going to be the OG All-Stars. And it came with an extra thrower. And usually with human teams, you only ever want one thrower. Like, you don't need an extra one, so that's why I used the extra thrower on the trophy as kind of a cool thing. Because like you'll see like a lot of football trophies, and a really popular thing to do with football trophies is to have like an old-timey football player on there with like the leather helmet and shit, as like the topper on the trophy. So I thought that could be like a fun callback for our Blood Bowl trophy, is that like on top of it is like an OG Blood Bowl model. Let's see, we got some other people checking in. Unwise Uniform, what's up? Hippie Hobo, Skojo, Kalini checking in. How's it going, guys? Yeah, we're gonna get to painting here in just a minute. I'm just waiting for some stuff to dry on our dwarf dude so we can get back to it. I was doing some touch-up stuff earlier, and I thought the wash would be dry by now, but it was still taking a little bit of time, so we were just talking. We got him right here. And I think he's probably dry enough to put a matte varnish back on him, and then do some airbrushing on his flesh tones to touch him up a little bit. So like last night we were talking about how he had like some little scratchies on his flesh skin paint, and some like color had rubbed off on him. So I wanted to touch that up, as well as some places where the wash was still a little janky. So I did some more airbrushing, put another wash on him. We're gonna do some more airbrushing after I get a matte coat on him. Try to clean that up, and when that's done, our main focus for tonight is going to be the hair and his metallics. Still one more name. What's up, dude? I feel well, sorry. Are you in one of those weird time zones? Like, are you overseas? I know it can be rough on the Wednesday, Thursday show for some of the European guys. The 1500 celebration is going to have to wait a little bit. We're probably going to do that as part of the Club Point fire sale closer to the end of the month, because I'm going to need to source some stuff for prizes. I don't really have anything as far as prizes go. And I know that we usually do like slow fuse gift cards for our little giveaways, but because this is special, I want to do some special stuff, so I gotta get some stuff figured out for that. We got plenty of time. And I'm also working on some other parts of our new giveaway system that's going to be rolled out next month. I was thinking about it, and well, we could talk about it, because you know I'm usually pretty upfront with you guys. So basically the idea is that we're going to switch from a direct donation system. So we already talked about that. And it's going to rely on club points. And we're going to be doing monthly resets on club points at the end of this month, which is why we're doing the club point fire sale for a lot of prizes at the end of the month. And so what I was thinking about is that because the giveaways for our painted models are going to be club points, and you're still entering a random chance to win, you know, there needs to be something that people can spend their club points on otherwise. Like if you don't win, like say you want to buy more tickets, or you know, things like that, where so you're donating to the channel, you're supporting the channel, and you want something to put your club points into. If you don't win the painted model, I need something that can be there for that. And what I'm thinking is a direct order like t-shirt kind of a thing. What's the word? Like print to order, I think is what it's called, where like basically you can just redeem your club points, and then I'll just have like a shirt sent to you, so I don't have to like get, you know, 50 of them made and then sent to me, and then repackage individual ones and send them out. That kind of thing, like little things that you can get on your own. Oh, Hippie Hobo sucks, dude. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the weekday streams are a little rough because I need to do them a little later, and I know that's rough on you Europeans. There's flat flesh mixed up in the airbrush after doing a matte coat. Go in and touch up some of this. Pixel Cruncher coming in with a raid. Appreciate that raid. welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming over here with your homies, checking us out. Just doing some airbrushing right now, working on cleaning up these flesh tones. Miss half damage. Thanks for that follow. Appreciate you. Welcome to the stream. Let's see, let's get a little bit back here. Okay, it's probably about as clean as we're going to be able to get it. And for some of the more problem areas, we can probably draw attention away from those with some of the tattoo stuff that we're going to be doing later on. But flesh tone's looking good again. Liking it. How many millions of dollars? I mean, 0 millions, because I have 0 millions. But, we've already been talking about it a little bit around the shop. Some other people that are interested in it. So, because the box set is technically a 2-player box set, there's the high probability that I will be splitting a box with somebody because I probably will not need more than one Warlord Titan. So splitting that starter box is probably a good idea. And I will also probably be getting the Reaver Titan by itself, because the Reaver Titan is my favorite looking Titan out of all of the Titans. So if we're talking about which one am I excited to paint the most, it would be the Reaver. I generally like the Warlords, but the redesign on the Warlord chassis is not my favorite thing in the world. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I prefer the previous version of the Warlord Titans a lot more, but it is what it is, and the new plastic models look sick, so splitting a box would probably be the best option. But if we're talking about like which one I'm excited to paint, it's the Reaver. I really want a Reaver Titan. And so, yeah, Titanicus is the new game that is with the Titans. They're all going to be a different scale. Yeah, the OG Warlord looks so much better in my opinion. Like, hopefully, like what I'm fingers crossed, what I'm hoping is that because of the scale of this game, they'll come out with different variants of Titans rather than just like weapon swaps. The realistic side of my brain is saying, like, no, they're just going to do weapon swaps. That's all they ever do. But I can hope that, like, they come out with different patterns of Titan, like, you know, the old patterns of Warhound Titan and the old pattern of Reavers and the original pattern of Warlords. Like, they just look the way that I want them to look. But either way, like, I can always paint me a Reaver Titan because I really like how those look. Those are my favorite looking ones, like... Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna bring the Warhound in. One thing they were quoted as saying is that they are not gonna turn this into Epic 40k. Like Adeptus Titanicus is Titans only. They were pretty clear on that at Warhammer Fest. because that question was asked to them directly and they answered it directly. So a lot of times in the the announcement, like Q&A stuff, when people ask Games Workshop direct questions, if they don't want to answer it, that means they're probably working on it. But if they answer it directly, they already know like that's the end of it. So when people were like, is this going to have elements of Epic 40K? Are you going to make tanks and infantry and that kind of thing for this game? They were like, no, straight no. They're only going to make Titans for Adeptus Titanicus. So we'll see. Epic 40K might be something they want to revive, might not be. They said August is when it's coming out. If I were a betting man, I would say that they're gonna do like a multi-week release on it. So like week 1 is gonna be the box set, and then week 2 would be the separate boxes, or maybe even 3 weeks where like week 1 is the box set, and then week 2 is like the Reaver Titan and some terrain, and then week 3 is like the Warlord Titan and some terrain. Maybe throw in the box of Knights in there somewhere. I very much doubt that they would have the entire range on the shelf on the first week. They almost never do that. I'm not entirely sure. I probably wouldn't be able to tell until I got the models in my hands. I know what the base sizes are. Like, the Warlord Titan is on the 120 by 92 millimeter base that a Knight Titan comes on. The Reaver is on a Monstrous Cavalry base, and the Knights are on 40 millimeter bases. So if you think about just the Knights being that small, if you were to add in tanks and stuff, it would probably be like 6 millimeter. Because we're talking like in that game, a Knight Titan is like as big as a Primaris Marine, right? So when you think about the rest of the scaling, so like a Predator tank, which is a pretty big Predator tank, like barely comes up to the knee of a Knight Titan. So it would be very small. Like I don't think it would be. Yeah, like I don't know, maybe 15. I don't know. You can speculate about it, but at this point, I'm not sure that Epic's actually gonna be a thing. So we'll see. We'll see. Not gonna count them out just yet. All right. So hair and metallics. We're gonna focus on hair and metallics. I think I'm gonna work on the hair first because the metallics probably aren't gonna take a whole hell of a lot of time. And since this guy is supposed to be a modern day Slayer, he's going to be having some orange hair. So let me find some good paints. I thought I had. Could have sworn I had like Wild Red or Red and some other oranges like out here ready to go. Did I put them in a box and forget them somewhere? Maybe. Well, I guess I'll have to figure out what I did with Wild Red or Red. I've got, as for my base coat, I don't want to go with one of my airbrush paints. It's just a little too thin. I know it won't stick well. What we could do is kind of do a mixture. Yeah. Like the idea of it sounds really cool, but then when I think about actually having to paint that stuff, I cringe a little bit. Cuz some of the stuff in 40K is already like pretty small to the point of being like really annoyingly small to have to paint. Like doing anything smaller is not something that I enjoy thinking about. It's a little bit more yellow. Yeah, I suppose if you're used to it, it's not that bad, but like I I am kind of a fan of where the scale is going right now in 40K. Get a little bit bigger. So I've got this mixture of red and yellow. We're just gonna base this in and work up off of that to a more fiery orange. Being careful not to get any on his flesh. Yeah, like a billion orcs. Imperial Guard. No thanks. I might not mind it if they just cut out infantry altogether and just made it like an armored combat game. Where it was like nothing but tanks and super heavies and like maybe flyers. But the infantry component is definitely not something that I would want to deal with. You think? Scale it down a little bit? I don't know. Like I think that's one of the reasons that like 40K has stayed so popular over the years is just like something as simple as like look at all the toys you can have on the table at one time, and people seem to like that. Um, I would say that in my experience, the number of people that kind of rail against the idea of bringing the points down for games like down from 2K is overwhelmingly large. Like the people that want the game to be at 2K is like way more than the people that think that it should go down a little bit, because the average person, they spend all this time and money and they want to play with all their toys at once. And so anytime you bring up the idea of like bringing the points for normal games down a little bit, they're always like meh and cry about it. tricky spot on his mustache. Not really worried about getting paint on the cigar. Just want to make sure I'm not getting any of this on his nose. Our beard going, looking good. No, I mean, like, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I prefer almost all miniatures games to have less models, which is why I constantly find myself really interested in skirmish games. Ooh, that was close. Games like Infinity, Necromunda, Dark Age, that kind of stuff. And then I kind of reserve my playtime for 40k for tournaments. That's my favorite way to play 40k. It's where I find the most enjoyment. So if 40k went down a little bit, I would totally be fine with it. But most people don't want 40k to go down in points, because then it would just be a skirmish game. That's kind of what sets 40k apart, is that it's got, it's got infantry, it's got heavy infantry, it's got cavalry, it's got bikes, it's got tanks and planes and monsters and all that stuff. And you kind of have to have all of that going on at once to really set it apart from most of the other miniatures games out there. Talking about Star Wars Legion? A little bit more to do. Yeah, I'll be interested to see when some info about Kill Team comes out myself. Okay, so we got our initial hair blocked in, but he's got this texture around the back of his head where it's kind of like the hair has kind of been buzzed down. So what we're gonna do is get out like some brown probably like some mahogany brown, and mix a little bit of our base color into that, and then thin it out super, super thin to give it that like darker kind of stubbled hair look, but it's not just going to be like flat brown. Yeah. Let's see. I want to say they had Kill Team for 7th edition, but it was basically like 40k, but less points. All right. Just glazing this on nice and thin. Kind of like so. You can see a little bit of a color change. I think it actually do to be a little bit darker. Maybe add like a little bit more brown to it. Fourth edition was before my time. I only started playing in 5th edition. A little bit before my time. Okay. Got our little buzzed area hair with that on there. And I think from here we can put a wash on there, but we need this section back here to fully dry because this is really wet. Like when you're working with those glazes, it's super, super wet. You gotta let it dry. So we'll let that dry up a little bit. Actually, before we do that, there's one little kind of like right at the top of his beard, there's some of that sculpted like right here. I want to pick that out with our same base color. Also, while we're waiting for that to dry, do kind of a second coat up on top here where it was a little thin. like so. Getting that fiery orange started for the Slayer. That's going to contrast nicely with his pants. Oh, hippie hobo, that actually kind of sounds pretty cool. Maybe they'll incorporate some of that into the new kill team. You know what? Part of me kind of wants to highlight some of this before we put a wash on it, but yeah, maybe we should do a little bit of a highlight. Do some glaze highlights on this hair before we throw a wash onto it, so it's got some gradient to it. Some of our orange fire from Vallejo Game Air, kind of glaze it. Kind of starting just before the base of the hair where it touches the skin, coming down with a little glaze of orange fire. So we get a little bit more orange to it before we put a wash on it. Yeah, you can always play the old stuff. Nothing's stopping you.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you.
that dry up. So we're starting to get more into that brighter orange, or what you would think of as an orange color. See, maybe if I cut off that light, you'll be able to see a little better. So we'll let that dry up, and we'll pull out some Ember Orange from P3. This is getting into that kind of like orange yellow range, and we'll glaze up with that.
So alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
And if you're not comfortable mixing up your own glazes, there is some glaze products out there. I know Games Workshop makes some stuff they call glazes, which you can use in a similar fashion, that are kind of already thinned down a little bit to what you would normally think of as a glaze, like bloodletter. But glazing is a technique more than it is a product. So being able to get your paints that thin and then work with them by hand is a nice skill to have. Silverman, yeah, you're not wrong. Blood Bowl is a great example. Same rules for a long time. Like where that's at. So let that fully dry, and then we'll put a wash on it. Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. I think the only one that stayed like super strong all this time is probably Blood Bowl, even though Games Workshop like wasn't supporting it or whatever. But a lot of that has to do with how that community is kind of evolved over the years, where they have had like the living rulebook and all that. So like they didn't really need Games Workshop to come out with Blood Bowl 2016 to keep the fan base happy. They were fine before, and they're still fine now. I think the new Blood Bowl has gotten a lot of people into it, which is nice. I would like to see more support for it. It kind of bothers me they don't keep it on store shelves, which is really annoying. Yeah. That's another thing too, is that Blood Bowl has always had like such a rabid fan base. There's tons of sculptors out there making teams. Unfortunately for us, most of them are all European, so you have to order that stuff from overseas, which is annoying. So we're much closer to that Slayer orange. We just need that glaze that we just put on there to fully dry. And then we're gonna put a wash on there. And while the wash is setting, we'll start working on metallics. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean off my hands a little bit, just to avoid getting any paint transfer to the model. I just had like a, there it is, a clean paper towel. There we go. Okay. Got some Reichland Flesh Shade. That's what we're going to be using to wash our hair with. Okay. Thinking I might even go a little darker on some of this. Having like a little bit of brown.
You're gonna break my heart. You're gonna tear it apart. No matter what you do, I'll still be there for you. And when you call my name,
Actually, I like that a little bit better. It's my brown's a little darker, which is nice.
no matter where you go, you'll never be alone. Be alone, be alone. No, you'll never be alone. Be alone, be alone. No, you'll never be alone. Be alone, be alone. No, you'll never be alone. Be alone, be
All right. So while that's going, let's start working on our metallics. Got some of our scale 75 black metal. Start working on this little metal wrist thingy that he's wearing. I don't know what these are called.
you're gonna break my heart. You're gonna tear it apart. No matter what you do, I'll still be there for you.
Okay. And then we'll work on the chain going around his waist. Okay, just keep working our way around this chain here. What is it? Let's see. Almost done with this chain. Get this part back here. Taking our time working on this chain. Kind of in a tricky spot because we're close to the flesh and we're close to the jeans. Don't want to get any metallic paint on those. Chain busted in right there. Cool. Just gonna switch to a smaller brush and we're gonna do our dog tags. Yeah, he's got a little bit of military feel to him, but I didn't want to go that far. I wanted to, rather than make it more of like a military dwarf, I wanted to make it more of like a Slayer, kind of emulate that. Thought the look would be a lot cooler. Oh yeah, some of the forest tiger camo. I don't think I would have been able to do it justice, to be honest. I'm not the best at freehanding camouflage that looks realistic. Alright, so now we're gonna have to be really careful, work on this chain. Okay, this dog tag's based in. Okay, and then before we do the spikes on this thing, I'm just gonna go ahead and black out that little bracelet thing and his glove with some matte black. Gotta be careful on some of these parts because we're getting up right next to our skin. What? What? I'm painting right now. Well, if you sit right behind me, I can't pet you. Hmm. Hmm. Almost done. There we go. Oh wait, just one tiny little spot right in here. There, I think I got it all. Yeah. There we go. Got his little knuckle glove and bracelet cut in. Let's see. I think I'm seeing some kind of like ridge that I didn't get paint on. There we go. And while I got this black paint out, I'm gonna go ahead recut in our little belt. There's like one spot back here where we can see the belt peeking through the chain. Okay, I'm good there. Probably just actually just military green grenades, you know, just do them like olive drab. OJ, what are you doing? Hmm? Come here. Come here. Oh, getting big. I don't think y'all have seen Orange Cat. Say hey. No? Alright, he does not like being picked up. You're fine. You're fine. You can be a ground cat. Alright, so now we can do those little spikes on his bracelet. Nah, his name is Orangey, but I call him OJ. Yeah. It was funny. I took him to get fixed the other week, and I wrote his name down, and it's spelled Orenji, like that. And on like the form that the vet filled out that like you get back, they had spelled it like the color orange but with an extra E. Like, you obviously don't know how to spell orangey. Here, let me correct you. Like, fool, I know what my cat's name is. That black metal's a little dark, especially if you look at it straight on, but you can see this as soon as I turn it around. They all have metal on them. I'll have to highlight them up a little bit after we do a wash. But then the other metallics that we're going to do today, because the pistols and the gun belt are going to be done on their own thing. So the next thing I need to do is work on his brass knuckles, which so far have been kind of hard to tell that he's actually holding any because they've been flesh colored, but after we pick out the brass knuckles in some gold, some of our necro gold, should be able to easily tell that he's holding them. Shadowrun? Yeah. I should really give him another shot. I remember when they redid it and it came to the computer I want to say just like a few years ago. I tried playing it and it was just like it must have been in like early access or something. I don't know the full story, but it just seemed like super bad. And I was like, this is what all like at least people have been telling me like Shadowrun is so cool and all that. Just like some Knight Rider clips up in here. I immediately love this song. Looks like I must have hit his muscle with the brush at some point, not even realized it. I'll have to cover that. But now you get some gold for his brass knuckles. Yeah, I'll have to give it another shot. Like, maybe I'm just misremembering it. Alright. Any other metals? I think while I got this paint. Might as well go ahead and just black out these sunglasses too, just so... I don't know, like every time I look at it, I keep expecting these to be blocked in, and it looks weird that they're still flesh colored. So maybe if I block in the sunglasses, it won't distract me as much. Yeah, I think maybe it was Shadowrun Returns, but it may have been in like early access or something, so it wasn't like a completed game. I don't know. I did really like BattleTech, so if it's by the same people, maybe I should give it another look-see. What? OJ, what? God, why are you yowling at me? You're gonna have to learn the same lesson that Beegers does, and that's that when I'm painting. It's not cat time. What? What? Yeah. He's usually not... He usually doesn't hang out with me very much. because his sister still lives here with us, so he's like constantly hanging out with his sister and his mom. But those cats are with my roommate while she's off on kind of a little vacation at her parents' house since she finished school. So OJ's been hanging out with me, which is nice because before he didn't really. He was pretty aloof about hanging out. But he's become like, hey, I need you to like pay attention to me all the time. And Blackjack hates it. Blackjack is a jealous little bitch. Like, you want to talk about needy cats? Like, Blackjack does not even like other cats being in the room if I'm in here. He's like, he's my man. It's for me only. He's getting used to it though. Like initially he was like he would act out and he would like punch him and hiss all the time, but he's gotten used to it a little bit more. But it's like if I'm petting him, like if I'm petting OJ, like Blackjack is like no, he tries to like butt his way in there. Alright. We can put a wash on our metallics. Get out some Secret Weapon Soft Body Black. Do some washing. Trying to be careful because I don't want this to go everywhere. Soft Body Black is a pretty nice wash. It's fairly easy to work with. It has a little bit of a detergent element to it. I don't really know what the proper name for it. I just call it that because it's like it's got that soapy element to it that makes it just want to like run over the model and only settle in the recesses. Especially like I usually use the Army Painter system if I'm doing like a full wash on a model, like all over the place, just because it's a little easier. But if I'm doing like kind of a pin wash like I'm doing with this stuff, like the Soft Body Black accomplishes the same thing, and I don't have to like mix it. I can just put a few drops on my palette and just put it right on the model, and it's really easy to control, which is nice. gonna be a little... Trying to wash this chain without having it go everywhere. It's kind of what I was talking about. It's like it makes pin washing a little easier. I mean, some stuff is just always going to be difficult. Like trying to get a nice wash on this beaded chain without having the wash, you know, like go everywhere and stain is going to be tricky no matter what. Because you want that little border to, you know, help define it, but you don't want it to be too wide or go everywhere. There we go. Clean up that spot on the front of the dog tag there. Much better. I'm gonna go ahead and, since I still got black paint, just gonna go ahead and hit this cigar too and just black it out so that it's not bothering me. Since I'm kind of going against the way that I normally paint models with this dude, when I see stuff that I'm already doing advanced techniques on and other stuff isn't blocked in, I get distracted. So you just black that out. And Smither, I can see your chat. Like, chat's up. Nah, you're good. Unless you can't see anybody else, and then it's probably worth a refresh. Cool. Looking pretty good so far. So what we can start doing now is highlighting up our hair. So we can get out some golden yellow. Kind of just a teeny bit on the palette here because we're going to be needing to kind of sort of doing some edge highlights, because what we want to do is get most of the paint off of our brush here and just use the side and kind of do like a little half-ass dry brush technique to catch the texture. I'm just barely touching the model. So as you see, I'm just using my detail brush as kind of a dry brush by not having any moisture on it, just getting that dry pigment to catch on the sculpt of the hair. You constantly have to like re-wet the brush and clean it off because detail brushes don't like being treated this way, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. For Cave on Strike? Is that who you're talking about? You could probably do like more white, like make him a white raven kind of a thing. I guess would be a cool scheme. So I think that is one of the secondary colors to the Raven Guard. But I know that painting white is a real pain, so if you don't want to do that, then I don't blame you. If plain black is something that seems boring to you, then maybe if you haven't already, watch my Black Templars video, because the black that I do for him is pretty intense, and it doesn't look like that kind of basic bitch black that Games Workshop does. You can get his eyebrows a little bit. Go. Yeah. I don't know. Personally, like I actually have an affinity for the Raven Guard. I like that chapter. The whole like bright white being their secondary color has always seemed like super weird to me, considering that they're the only Space Marine chapter that uses like stealth. Like that's their main thing is all about stealth tactics. And I would not have white as like bright pearly white as my secondary armor color, or designating my where my head is at, right? With a white helmet. Doofast, thanks for that follow. Ravens don't have white feathers. Ravens have black feathers. Now that we've done that, I'm going to go back with some of our Reichland to help our details get cut back in a little bit. And it's going to help the yellow kind of blend into the orange a little bit better. Didn't we just hear this song? Like, what's YouTube doing with our playlist? go. Helping all that kind of fade together a little bit better. Yeah, get that fiery Slayer hair going on. Let that dry up. Yeah, I've always liked to mix the Raven Guard colors up a little bit by doing like a tinted black, like a color shifted black, into more of a purple range or a dark navy blue range, rather than just like slate matte black, and having like blues or grays or gray blue kind of secondary colors for their armor stuff. I've never liked the bright white helmets. Just heard this song. Because after this wash dries, I'm going to want to do another matte coat, because you can see like our soft body black, it dries a little shiny. So like all this is dry, right? It's all dry, but see how like kind of glossy that wash looks? We need to matte that back down before we want to paint on top of it, because we are going to go ahead and shine up all these. God damn it, I touched his arm with the soft body black wash. Wonder if I can maybe... Can't win today. To fix that later. Well, I don't mean like make them purple. What I'm talking about is where you start off with black, and instead of going through grays, you go up through like purples into like a color shifted black. Or alternatively, you can do the same black workup through like dark gray to a mid-tone gray to a light gray for your edge highlights, and then just like use purple wash on top of it and color shift all those grays into kind of a purple, or blue wash or green wash. Like sometimes you see that too, like a black that's so dark that it's green, or so dark that it looks purple. I did that for the one and only Abaddon model that I've ever painted, which was the Abaddon and Loken diorama that Forge World put out a long time ago. And that was the diorama that I got my Golden Demon Finalist award. The only time I've ever entered a Golden Demon, because it was the last Golden Demon to be held in the US. And I missed out on winning a trophy because my Chaos Lord did not have a display plinth, which I thought was horseshit. That made me so mad. Like, I was all super hyped when they were handing me back my models at the end of the con. I got my little like finalist pin with the Abaddon Loken diorama, and then the guy was like, "Yeah, you would have won bronze in fantasy single if your Chaos Lord had a display plinth." And I was like, "That's fucking stupid. You're telling me that like I painted better, like my model was painted better than the bronze dude, but his was on a shitty block of wood, so I didn't win? Like that's dumb." I didn't know we were submitting blocks of wood. I thought this was a mini painting competition. So that's like the last time I did like mini painting competitions, because I realized how stupid it was. That's lame. That sucks. I don't know, like, it seems to have only gotten worse. Like, I have a friend here in Austin who is a Crystal Brush winner. Like, not only did he win medals at Adepticon last year, but he won medals at Adepticon this year, including a gold. And he between last year's Adepticon and this year's Adepticon, he went to the Golden Demon competition over in Nottingham, submitted like literally the best Warhammer miniature that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I've never seen anybody paint something better than what he submitted, which was Space Marine, Librarian, and Terminator armor. And they were like, "Oh, you didn't win because you didn't use like Games Workshop approved weathering methods." I was like, "That's some real horse dick.mpeg right there, GW." Like, if this dude would, like, let me put it this way. If this dude started painting on Twitch, he would easily be the most talented painter on Twitch, period. Like, no competition. That's how good his shit is. And, like, the fact that GW, like, didn't let him win because he didn't use, like, Rizza Rust and Typhus Corrosion is, like, that kind of shit. I was like, that's so dumb. Well, I mean, like, they can't prove that you didn't use GW paint, like, because you'd be like, all right, prove it. Like, how are you gonna prove that I didn't use GW paint? Like, that's not even a requirement. Like, I didn't use Citadel paints on the stuff that I got my finalist badge on. It was like all Vallejo paints. Like, they don't, it's not like that. It's just like, they have a very particular way that they want Citadel models to look, and because he used like all these like oil paints and weathering powders and like all this kind of shit to make it look so fucking good, they're like, yeah, you didn't use GW approved weathering methods. No, they don't. Because, like, for a long time, like, when I entered Golden Demon, like, I was kind of keeping up with it for a few years. And like, that was kind of when, so we're talking like 2012, 2013, and that was when like airbrushing models was coming into its heyday. Like, that's when it was really like exploding onto the scene and everybody was doing it. Like, Lester Bursley was the king of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Like, all the stuff that won had airbrush implemented into it in some way. Like, every single model that placed, like the Slayer Sword winner, like all that shit, like had airbrush elements on it. It's just like they look for very specific things, and some of those things they don't tell you. No, they don't. Forge World does, but theirs were lame. Like, theirs weren't very good. Yeah, I think he was using stuff from like MiG. Like, one little spot that needs to dry before we mat cut this guy back down. Like, right there on top of his head. But hair came out pretty good. I like where that's at. Really nice contrast between the faded jeans and the hair. Looks really nice. Yeah, AK, that's the one I'm thinking of. Him off AK. That's silly. Get primer? I didn't even know they made primer. I don't think I'll stop using Steinolrez, just because I'm kind of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guy. And the only primer that I think I would switch to if I was going to stop using Steinolrez is probably Allclad 2. I still maintain that that is the best primer you can put through your airbrush. That shit is really good. The only problem is it's really hard to come by unless you order it online, and it's a lot more expensive than Steinolrez, which is why I still use Steinolrez. And also, a lot of people in the miniatures community are big babies about using lacquer paints. I don't understand why. Well, I know why it is. It's because like they're indoctrinated to only buy stuff that's like labeled as miniatures, like, and that's probably due to companies like Games Workshop and Privateer Press and Army Painter building up the community the way they have, which is fine. Like, I always commend Games Workshop for the way that they get people into the hobby. Like they do an exceptional job of like getting people into the hobby and like how to get started painting miniatures. But people have this weird thing where it's like, oh, what do they have, like a miniatures version? Is there stuff branded for miniatures? Can I use this on miniatures? And it's like, if it's made for scale models, it's like it's all the same shit. And some companies make like way better stuff than anybody makes for miniatures in the scale modeling world, but nobody uses it because it's not labeled for miniatures. You can buy Steinolrez from Elric's, dude. I think Elric sells it for cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. Nah, it's basically the same stuff. It's weathering pigments. The main difference is like the weathering pigments is basically what you would find in charcoal pens or charcoal pencils, or like pastel crayons, like the chalky pastel crayons. It's just they took the time to like grind it up, or more likely they just never took the time to like mold press it into those shapes, so it's just that powder. So it's like you don't have to do the step of breaking it down. Oh, I didn't know Slowfuse sold Steinolrez. You can also get it from slowfusegaming.com, where I got my awesome chisel tip dry brush, and you should have one because this thing is the best. If you're not using a Slowfuse chisel tip dry brush, you're wrong. I don't click random links, but I can have one of my mods check it first, and if it's not something trolly, then yeah. Can I get one of my mods to like take one for the team? It's safe. All right. Yeah, open it up real quick. Start questioning my taste, then we're gonna have problems. Nah. I totally understand. Like, I think Jason's brushes are high quality, but I have a very particular taste on how I like my brushes to perform, and it's why I generally stick to Winsor Newtons. Although I have not been able to try the new deck cords, so like because they're synthetic, so I don't want to like have to go through my whole stash. Yeah, some of the historical scale stuff is nice too. Like, I honestly think that Tamiya makes some of the best products out there. Like, they make really like inexpensive, high quality stuff for scale modeling. And most of the time, if people ask me like what primer or like what spray paint to use, Mr. Fred, thanks for that follow. This is actually a pretty good song. Um, if they want like rattle can paint, I almost always tell them to buy Tamiya. And one, it's actually really high quality and really nice, and it's cheap. And two, for whatever reason, the Japanese those rattle cans they use or they make, the spray nozzle is like way finer of a whatever, which is why I prefer it because like the spray paint goes on there so much easier and thinner than it does when it comes out of like the army painter stuff. So it's like if you want rattle can primer, I always recommend Tamiya's or Tamiya. Or I say Tamiya because I'm from Texas, but there you go, a glowing endorsement from AT Roger. Back when I used to rattle can prime all my stuff, that's what I used all the time. Especially if you want something to have a base of white, like there's some projects where I do want to work off of a white primer base. Like that's what I used was Tamiya. Zul Zaji, what's up, dude? How's it going? Kind of coming in at the tail end of the stream. We're about to get out of here. Just kind of bullshitting. Huh, I'll have to bookmark that. That was actually kind of a fun song to listen to. Who's that, Mr. Fred? That right? Yeah. Ah. Well, gotta do what you gotta do, man. Kids in real life is always more important than nerd shit. Painting models and doing all this nerd shit that we do. Oh, the sanding sticks? You might be able to search them by name or by brand name. What are these? Stevens International are the ones that I have. I actually need to buy new ones because I had like I don't know where my rough grit one went to. So like I think the roughest one I have is like 320, and even this one doesn't really get after it the way that I want it to. Cause like I've got the Army Painter file set, and these are great for like really hogging off material or working on like metal models, but I don't have I think it was like 180 or 200 is the one that I liked because it's like in between this one and the 320. And I don't know what I did with it. Like I lost it because like all of these, so it's like 800. This one's like there's another 320. What is this one? There's a 400. And then I have like a polishing one that's like well this is 600, so it's probably so the 800 is probably the polishing one. But yeah. Stevens International is the ones that I have. There's like a million out there. It's one of those things like the sanding sticks. Like, I'm pretty sure these are the same ones that are sold by like multiple brands. It's just they slap their brand name on it, kind of like this. You've all seen this like super glue, right? The exact same label, but it has different brand names on it, but it's all the same shit. Like they buy it from the same manufacturer and just slap their brand on it to sell it. It's basically the same thing for these. It's just the ones that I happen to have say Stevens International on them. Yeah, dude. Get some sleep before that exam, dog. Let's see. Should have already been sent out, Zool. I will, if it hasn't shown up in a couple more days, like, give me a whisper and I'll just send out another one. You know, with our glorious U.S. Postal Service, I've had numerous things get lost. Like, we had a top donator giveaway model get lost in the mail, and I was pretty heartbroken about that. But yeah, I've got like 3 more, so I can just send you another one. It's no biggie. Alternatively, it could have been like I could have put it in a box because I do all my postage in these little like what are these called? These like these little boxes right here. So it's entirely possible that I could have like put it in a box and like written your name on it and sealed it up and then just like forgot to take it to the post office. But this is the only one that I have at my desk, so I'm pretty sure I sent it out with all the other stuff that I sent out a few weeks ago. And if you're in the same state, yeah, like it probably got lost. I'll just send out another one. Alright, so we're chugging right along on our modern day Slayer. We still haven't thought a name of it. Between now and next time, I want you guys to think of some good names for this guy. But this is going to be the last that you see of this guy for this week, because on Saturday and Sunday we're probably going to work on a 40k model just to kind of shake things up a little bit. I've got our OG Demon Prince that I want to work on. So that's probably what we'll be working on Saturday and Sunday. And then on Monday, I'll be shooting another YouTube tutorial video, which will probably be the guns and the shoulder harness. And then next Wednesday and next Thursday, we'll work on this guy again. Keep on trucking on him. That's like way too. I'm never gonna remember that, and I probably can't even say it. Like it's gotta be like Bob or something. So yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. Oh, USPS. All right, won't be able to see chat for a few seconds while I look and see who's painting. So we gotta throw a host out. I see one. Yeah, I only see one person actually painting, so. Oh wait, Kalini's on. Gotta show some love to the homie. Alright, so don't go anywhere. Set up this host. Alright. Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday when we come back, we'll be working on the OG Metal Demon Prince. If you're new to the stream, make sure to look below the stream video. We have a little widget there that tells you exactly what days and what times I go live in your specific time zone. It's region locked to where you are. So make sure to check that out so you know when we're going to go live on Saturday. And of course, I'll be promoting the show before Saturday anyway, so If you haven't already, hit !Facebook and go over to the Facebook page and follow the Jack Club's Facebook page. That's where all of our studio pictures come out, and where all of our social media posts go for the channel. And like I said earlier, we also have a YouTube channel. So if you want to check out all of our studio tutorials, hit !YouTube and follow that link over there. This week's video is for our little modern day Slayer, where we did our flesh workup on him. So if you want to see how we airbrushed the flesh tone to get it looking so awesome, go check out that video. And of course, we have a bunch of other ones up there too. We're gonna throw a host over to Kalini. He's doing his digital art thing, so we're gonna go check him out. Make sure when you get over there, you show him the hobby love, hit him with those Jack Clubs emotes, and I will see all of you beautiful people on Saturday.